since then that needs them to bring in this communication factor?
Well, a couple things here. First off, you're up against Shrimp and Eve. Kez needs to pay attention to that jungle matchup 100%. He has to be focused on it, or else he's going to get destroyed in the jungle. Whether it's Shrimp out farming him, Eve out ganking him, the pressure that they're going to create, Kez has to match. So if he's having to translate for OQ in the middle of all of that, it becomes a big problem. So if Bischu has stepped up his game and stepped up his communication, then that's going to be a big boon for TDK. Because looking at Bischu, last time he started, they brought him in yesterday, but prior to that, they had not played him since they had added Trance to the roster, and that had been 9 games, half an LCS regular season.
And as a result, we can see already some changes going down. Apex, recognizing the strength of that OQ, Caitlyn is the first ban away from TDK. And while historically OQ and Bischu have not been as strong as OQ and Trance, we can start to sort of see what Apex are thinking by shutting that down. Even that Bard banned away from Bischu, so a lot of emphasis on that bottom lane. Meanwhile, on the other side, Nidalee and Rek'Sai banned away from Shrimp, as TDK know that the jungle is where the main action from Apex is going to be coming from.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying, why would you ban out this Rek'Sai? Well, Shrimp's Rek'Sai is a completely different breed of beast to have to deal with in that jungle. So I like the bans here from Apex. I think Poppy is still top tier. Flarezs loves that champion. He may take the Ekko or the Maokai, but Cris taking away the Ryze here so that he can deal with whatever comes up there. And it is, once again, going to be what he went with yesterday on Flarezs' side.
Yeah, the Ekko and Kindred lock in, the unkillable so far. Now they just need Zac and Yorick, and these guys are never going to die. I don't think we're going to see either of the two, but again, one can hope.
Yeah, get Nuteric in there as well. But yeah, Flarezs on this champion, we're going to have to see what he's able to do up against Cris in the top lane on that Ryze. Ryze still a flex pick, of course, and so is Ekko. But I want to talk about this Kindred because they have pinched the jungle pool of Shrimp pretty decently here. They made sure that they were able to ban out the Nidalee, top tier pick, and the Rek'Sai, which is Shrimp's top tier. And then they picked away the Kindred, which is what he found success on yesterday. So they might be forcing him onto Graves or possibly the Gragas here because he went for the counter pick against Kindred with Gragas yesterday.
We'll see what Shrimp decides to go for. Currently, it's Sivir.
Love it.
Locked in for Police. Like it, love it, want some more of it. It worked so well for them in the past. We'll see if they can pull off another victory. Now, Braum is still available. We've seen Bischu take it before, but that's going to be Graves locked in for Apex, so it's up to TDK now to respond.
Want to see what Shrimp does with this. He's typically a hard farming champion, hard farming player as well. So if Graves is able to get off the ground, get to 2 items, 3 items, dominate the game, then he'll be in a great spot. But I want to talk about Police on this Sivir, because Sivir, we have seen a criminally low amount of Sivir in NA. Sivir is good. Sivir is incredible. People aren't picking it. People are letting it fall to the wayside. They're saying, oh, well, Braum counters it, or Kalista's a higher pick for us. But honestly, Sivir is a fantastic AD carry. The crit from the Ricochet is so much teamfight damage. And the fact that she brings utility, she's not just a utility bot anymore.
Sivir very strong. The answer to that, though, is going to be Alistar and Kalista locked in for OQ and Bischu. A very strong, remarkably independent lane. So we'll see how effective that's going to be at dealing with that Sivir and trying to lock down some of her damage. Answer now goes to TDK as Apex, as they're looking for now their mid lane and support.
Yeah, historically we have seen Kalista beat Sivir in lane. That was the counter matchup that used to happen way back in the day when Sivir got those buffs to her ultimate. Since then, Sivir's seen some nerfs and buffs. Kalista has seen pretty much only nerfs since then, and some changes and kind of reallocation of mana and stuff. But this is the counter matchup here. OQ now playing a counter matchup against Police, and this bottom lane in the finals of Challenger, OQ was expected to smash Police. OQ had some of the best scorelines, CS differential in the entire league, and he wasn't able to show up against Police. Police neutralized him, which is exactly what happened yesterday with Freeze. So OQ, he's going to have to step up and go back to the performance he was having against Dignitas and against Ember. And the team is not crafted exactly to play around him, so I'm wondering how TDK are going to find their advantages in this game. Luckily, they're going to be red side all 5 games because they selected games 2 and 4 for themselves, and Apex wanted blue side. So they will always get counter pick against Keane. So Keane does not have that red side counter pick luxury.
Yeah, still using that flex though. Could be Graves mid.
It is Graves mid.
Again, the very, very unique build. The final lock-in is going to be Corki for Alex. We haven't seen any swaps out of Apex just yet. I really hope that they... There they go. Now they're starting to swap around.
So yeah, it's Graves mid. When I see the Graves, I'm usually thinking jungle, but it is a big solo laner now, top, and especially in Keane's case, mid. He loves that champion. 1v3'd one time.
Yeah.
Once he had
And then it turned into a 1v4, and he was still going fine.
Yeah, but yesterday he actually got 1v1'd by a Ekko. So when your OP meets their OP, you start figuring out very quickly where in the pecking order Graves now stands compared to Ekko.
When an immovable OP meets an unstoppable OP.
Ekko wins.
Okay, well, we'll see how that works out as the coaches shake hands for the beginning of this match. Again, it's Apex and TDK. And we want to know what your series predictions are going to be. Head on over to Twitter and stake your claim with hashtag APXWin or hashtag TDKWin. We'll be tracking how you are voting at home throughout the course of the day as we get ready for this.
That's right. Stake your claim. No claim jumping, though. Once one team gets ahead, you can't change your... Actually, you can change your vote. You can vote as many times as you want.
Yeah. The more...
But integrity and fandom.
Stick to your team and support it. But the team's already getting into this, and you've got to start to wonder, you know, Apex, they came in looking so strong coming out of the Challenger Series, 3-1 in both of their games, and then, unfortunately, not able, they took a single game yesterday.
Yeah, people were shocked, absolutely shocked at the performance that they put up. People were expecting with Tip during the regular season looking like they were just floundering, that they couldn't get wins unless they had Seraph. The TIP got it together. Proxen was able to control the entire game. The meta had shifted a little bit in his favor, and they took off. They had the Azir mid as well, which was a comfort pick for period. And so Apex, they weren't able to get off the ground. A draft was a little bit of the reason, but also the play, the way that they weren't actually swapping back a lot of the times and using AD carry advantage after lane swaps. So Apex, they look like they played rather nice. That's the thing. In League of Legends, you want to play mean. As soon as somebody gives you an advantage and like shoves the wave to your turret, don't let it just hit the turret and be like, okay, we'll just have it bounce. It's like, no, freeze that thing.
Deny it, yeah.
Freeze it. Deny it as much XP as you can. Call your jungler up. Do what you can to be mean to them. And Apex played rather nice from what I saw. They were ending up just, maybe it's a little bit of the nerves, but they ended up not taking the opportunities that were presented to them.
And you sort of got to wonder, because we do expect that this is the slightly more experienced team with Xpecial, with Keane. Is that getting to their heads? Could that possibly be affecting their decision-making in this?
Well, that would be cockiness at that point. And I do think that Cris, Keane, and Xpecial, they all have a lot of experience. They're all rather good players. And to fall short yesterday, maybe it was a little bit of overconfidence, but if you get destroyed like that 3-1 and you come into today, you have to not let that weigh on your conscience. Both teams are coming off of devastating losses where, you know, in Apex's case, they were expected to win, they were favorites, and in TDK's case, well, Renegades were looking a lot better, and it's their sister team that they, well, not sister team, I guess the team that they swapped players with
which they did their
they're like
roster swap.
they're now a bit of TDK, a bit of Renegades, two players swap back and forth.
It was not so much a sister team as like a transplant team.
Yeah, which
they're in the same family.
I think is awesome, because when I think of sports, traditional sports, I mean, I hate it when people say like traditional sports as opposed to like esports, but when I look at things like the NFL, trades happen all the time, right? You're trading players for, you're getting rid of one of your like kind of weak positions, but you're kind of like, we need a little bit stronger here. We need something different, right? We need an aggressive jungler. We have a farmer. And then it's like, well, we need a farming jungler. Well, okay, it's a mutual trade. But what if you actually like one up it and say like, okay, we're going to give you Seraph for Flarezs and RF, but you need to give us Alex, right? Or you need to give us Ninja. So both teams came out better after the trade, and it was something that I think is really, really cool, and I want to see more of it happen, because right now it's pretty much been like
you
somebody
stick
gets
with a team until the end of the season.
Well, until they kick you or something, right? Like you get kicked from a team, and then the other team is like, oh, well, we kicked our AD carry too, so then they just swap it that way instead of actually straight up trade.
Yeah, a trade of opportunity rather than a conscious decision. So then to talk about this a little bit more, TDK, this is their third best of 5 in 3 days. These guys have got to be feeling the pressure. Game 1, series number 1 on Wednesday was a quick 3-0, but yesterday they were 0-3'd.
Yeah. They ended up they ended up in a position where they have to play 3 best-of-5s over 3 days. Sorry, I was being talked to in my ear there. Apparently, Cris wanted to take Grasp of the Undying, ended up taking Strength of Ages, and I have to say this is something that I've done in top lane a lot by accident. As a jungler, you always just by habit you fill out the defensive tree all the way to the bottom, and you're like, okay, middle one, boom, Strength of Ages. And so when you're on autopilot in Champion Select and top lane is my secondary role, I will sometimes take Strength of Ages top, and then you're up against the Trundle with Grasp, and you're like, there's no way I can win this matchup.
Yeah, so we just heard that he will have to take Strength of Ages because we did make it into the game and he didn't call it out sooner. Yeah. So, Grasp, yes. So he will be taking that Mastery. Grasp of the Undying.
Player error.
Top lane.
Yeah, it's player error as well.
And this further feeds into the whole nerves question.
Yeah. It's when you have so many things to think about, that's the thing that takes the back seat, right? And when I was talking about how sometimes I take it, it's when I'm having a conversation with somebody else in Champion Select, when I'm not fully conscious of what I'm doing on my Mastery page, and I'm just filling it in like I normally would. And I actually, funny thing, the bottom 3 defensive tree masteries, they are all buff dudes flexing their arms at like half, like at their elbows,
icons,
right?
Yeah.
So like Strength of Ages is this guy flexing, and he's got a green aura.
But he's chest forward.
Yeah. Grasp of the Undying is like a guy kind of flexing, but his arms are down.
Yeah.
And then Bond of Stone is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a green man. They're all a green man.
They're just different profiles. It's the left profile versus the center versus the right profile.
So they aren't like super distinguishable from each other. It's not like one's really close up, like Warlord's Bloodlust with a sword.
Yeah.
Fervor or
Stormvader Surge, where he's dashing, versus Thunderlords, which is a lightning bolt.
Yeah, a guy with a crown, lightning bolt thing, and then Wind Speakers, of course. So I think that which looks very different.
It's a little bit of mastery diversity that we're seeing. But again, I'm actually kind of surprised that he was looking for the Bond of Stone on
Grasp.
He is taking Grasp of the Undying.
He's taking Strength.
Strength?
Of Ages.
Not Bond of Stone. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, exactly. Right? So how is that going to be going into his matchup? Because we know that Ekko is probably going to be going for that tank sustain Sunfire Iceborne Gauntlet.
It's going to suck.
Okay.
So that long story short, when you have a matchup and you really want Grasp for sustain, and you don't get it, well, you lack your sustain. Big part of Grasp and why it's so OP is melees, and of course Ryze's range so he gets half effectiveness, but it still matters. Or that these melee champions that normally wouldn't be able to survive in the top lane, Rammus, Ekko, guys that don't have sustain, can now sustain up the wazoo, and it becomes so much easier for them. Actually, I guess it's the other way around.
Yeah, he's got the Grasp.
Yeah, Cris has Grasp. Huh.
He wanted the Bond of Stone for more health. Also, Flarezs is caught. There goes a quick snare. Here comes Xpecial and Police. There's a stun, but it doesn't find him over the wall. Boomerang Blade. Oh! Gets out with barely over 100 health.
Yeah, so I guess he ended up getting Grasp, so it's the half effectiveness on Ryze. I guess I must have misheard. So
he wanted the Bond of Stone for a larger late game health pool.
Was it Bond of Stone or Strength? Because Strength is the one that gives you HP.
Strength.
Okay.
I see now it's even the words. Okay, you can see it. He's got the Grasp of the Undying. He wanted Strength of Ages.
Okay.
And that is what I mean.
Okay.
Now that I have the words clear in my noggin.
So, that doesn't suck as much because you're going to get Rod of Ages. You're going to have at least a boost to your HP. Grasp of the Undying will allow you to sustain a bit, even though Ryze doesn't technically need it once he hits level 6. But it's not that bad. If you really wanted it the opposite and you're in a matchup where you want Grasp and you have Strength of Ages, then that one really sucks. But still, he's not too worse for wear. He'll be able to play it out almost no problem. Anyway, game has continued onward. Xpecial has blown his exhaust for that flash in the top lane, so Flarezs, he's going to have a bit of an issue here. He's going to have to go double jungle.
And in fact, we see a bit of a yin-yang start. Both of the teams starting in the other side's jungle. Bischu and OQ starting off with the Krugs bottom, and Police Xpecial starting off with the Krugs top side. So it is a lane swap, and double jungle has been started. And it looks like we are going to see a turret shove out of Apex in just a bit. So probably not going to see too much jungler interaction as everyone looks to rush down these turrets quickly. Something that TDK made good use of, responding to Dignitas when they lane swapped in game number 1.
Trades coming back and forth. I really want to see what Keane is able to do on this Graves as well, because you're talking about these lane swaps, and he's just going to have that one-on-one versus Alex, and Graves shoves you in all day. So you're going to be able to pull some jungle attention here. Kez, he might be able to get some easy ganks onto the Graves, which is one of the beauties of it. If you're a jungler, you know the Graves lane is always going to be pushed to the turret, so gank paths are much easier, but we'll see what ends up happening there. Kez is going to pick up a mark. Lucky dog. Right on those Raptors.
Quick mark picked up by Kaz. Oh, he's not even going to clear away
Mean.
the tiny raptor. I think it might have attacked him and died to the Gromp poison.
No, I think it's still up, right? Yes, it's still up. It's just
Aww,
where's
so
my mommy?
lonely. Shrimp on the other side, though, is going to mirror and do the exact same thing. So some BM jungling from both sides as the first turret of the game is taken bottom, and an early dragon is being secured by TDK. Rift Herald not quite up yet. So that's TDK coming out on top with this initial trade.
Yeah, early dragon here. See if they actually swap it back. There's no fast push in the bottom lane. Instead, they opt for that dragon. See if Cris fast shoves it or if Flarezs shoves it because they know the AD carries are going to swap.
Recall completed. Looks like Cris might have been trying to set up a freeze there, but decides to back away.
Yeah, and I like the fact that after the flash was blown from Flarezs, they end up going for the full lane swap, protecting him until his flash cooldown is back up, if he plays this correctly for the next minute or so. And now you start to shove it out. You make sure that you have a decently sized wave to bounce off of the Sivir, and he's actually going to back off fairly early.
Yeah, doesn't want to take any chances. Still has no flash, so if Braum were to get sneaky and find a way to get around, then that would be his death, but no luck there. As instead, Xpecial just going to try prioritizing that scuttle that does have another mark for Kez, but Kez is on the other side of the map, so looks like Apex are aware of their conditions of trying to keep Kindred off of those marks.
Yeah, you want to kill as many marks as you can. It happens, and you can pretty much bait the Kindred to those areas. That's one of the weaknesses of Kindred, is that you know where he has to go to get powered up, and if you beat him there, then you don't give him that spike of power. So you can actually read a Kindred fairly easily. Read the route as well.
Keane continues to trade with Alex in the mid lane while the jungles continue to swap around. Apex seems like they're a little bit slower once again to the turret trade in this swap, even though they have initiated it. They do have a fresh minion wave though, so
it'll be about even in terms of when they're both taken. Yeah, they're fairly similar in HP.
That's going to be all of the tier 1s except for mid lane going down, but Apex took the early dragon because they were able to secure their turret just a bit faster. It looks like Apex might be going for Herald.
Yeah, so Apex are going to fast push. TDK are going to go for the Herald here. They're going to give that gold to Flarezs, but your bottom lane is wide open right now. You're going to have four people pushing on it. You get Rift Herald for it, but you're going to have to get there quickly.
Oh, recall being pulled out by
do it,
Shrimp and Elise. They decide not to overstay their welcome, so nobody's going to take any chances with the fast tier 2.
Yep, they don't know that they're actually doing the Rift Herald until it's dead, right? So they don't have the vision. They just see them back off into Fog of War. You don't know if those members who are doing Herald have actually backed and then walked there. So that's the safe thing to do on Apex's side. But TDK got both Dragon and Rift Herald in a lane swap. Very unusual.
Things looking good for TDK as they start this off. Meanwhile, the mid lane has been even and in CS for this entire trade. 57 to 57 as Keane gets back in, looking for the early Maw of Malmortius. And again, this is on 6.6, so it does still have the Life Grip passive and bonus attack speed, so very strong item right now. Looks like Keane gets ganked by Flarezs, but he takes a quick dash to get to safety.
And you can see the difference here between the two styles of these teams. OQ is the one on TDK, pushing that bottom wave out, getting that experience. And in the top lane, Cris is the one getting the experience and the gold up here. So You can see APX playing a little bit more to Cris, like we talked about, and trying to get an advantage over Flarezs, who did not have a good series yesterday at all. 0 kills for that guy. And then OQ, on the other hand, star player of this squad. They can play around him. They're giving him the gold. They're giving him the experience. They're trying to set OQ up to carry.
We'll see if they can do that once again, or if we'll get a repeat of the Challenger Series Spring Finals. I believe that series went Apex, then TDK, then Apex 2-0.
Yes.
For the 3-1, so.
Yep.
We've heard them say before that they're comfortable going for the 3-1 and not entirely unconcerned as the waves are pushing back and everyone's catching up. So Dragon's going to be up in another 2 minutes and everyone looks for those.
I think everybody goes for the 3-0, and then when you lose a game, you're like, okay, we're comfortable with the 3-1. Nobody goes into a series going like, we're comfortable. We're going for the 3-0.
We're going for the 3-1.
Yeah, nobody goes for the 3-1. Some people will say, like, I think they'll take a game off of us, but nobody really, like, strives for that. Nobody tries to lose a game, right?
Yeah, I was going to be like, what about SKT during Worlds 2015? But the only game they lost was to Rocks Tigers in the final. Wow, this is
like they didn't try to lose that, though, right?
Yeah, well, that's the question. They didn't lose a single Nexus turret the entire playoffs except for that one game. And yeah, this wave is going to be cleared out by Police. A lot of people heading bottom. He's actually missing a handful of minions there, here and there.
Yeah, and you can see the CS difference. OQ able to push that wave all the way to the turret. 14 CS advantage for himself, whereas Flarezs has been able to pick up some sneaky CS up against Cris and rebounce the wave towards him. Kez, that's going to be his second stack of the game.
Yep.
It's strength of ages for the Kindred. We've seen a mixture, and solo queue people typically will go for the fervor of battle.
Yeah. Increased damage on hit is so strong when you're already going for an on-hit base build.
You're already going attack speed, too. Alex with the mission to get back to mid lane quickly. Make sure that he can shove it so that Keane has to run back. You lose some CS or TP.
Yeah, mission successful so far. Once again, though, TDK fast to pull the swap with the recurve bow and Swifties on OQ. They're already heading up towards the top side. Now, Dragon's up in a few seconds. They might have been looking for a opportunistic pick onto Cris, but he gets a lucky recall with his tier and catalyst timing. But that Dragon has now respawned. Teleport's available for both the top laners, and finally things look to be settling down. Do a good old-fashioned standard lanes.
Yeah. Good old-fashioned standard lanes with no turrets.
Yeah.
Just those mid lanes. But Dragon looks like it's going to be in sight for TDK. They won a game by having multiples, and Bischu not level 6 yet.
Takes some big damage. A stun is going to zone him away. Xpecial's not able to soak too much from OQ, but again, the mobility is so strong. And a Police actually answers with mobility of his own. Swifty boots and a Caulfield's hammer.
Yep, Swifty boots for both, Cull for both. So we're seeing pretty similar builds here from the AD carries. Of course, you do go for more attack damage as Sivir versus attack speed as Kalista for the Rem. But looking across the map, we're seeing just standard stuff here. Flarezs building MR against Cris to try and survive his burst, try to run him out of mana. And then the Devourer completed already for Kez. We'll keep track of that and see how many he can get, because he's only at 2. Not a part of that Dragon take, of course, because it goes over to Apex.
Yeah, and that was really, really great positioning for Apex. Taking a look at their vision right now on the map after they've taken the Baron, they knew exactly where TDK was that entire time. And by getting that successful cocoon onto Bischu, they were able to zone away. But Scuttle has respawned with a lucky mark for Kez on top of Rift Herald.
Exactly. This is the ideal scenario for Kindred. But you know that the enemy team is going to try to meet you there, and they're not set up around it. OQ's on the bot side, so it may not be as ideal as one would have imagined.
Yeah, deciding to go for the Krugs first might have hurt him there, as he's just a bit too late to get there as Apex catch up and take control, taking the Scuttle Crab, and now looking to take the Rift Herald. Flarezs, look for a little bit of damage, doesn't find it.
Oh man, that's really TDK kind of rolling over and giving this up, giving up a lot of potential for Kez to scale in favor of OQ shoving this bot wave up. OQ is going to be able to get this all the way to the turret. He's going to fast push it, but Apex are answering exactly the same, but with Rift Herald buff. So the minions are stronger. The minions will do more damage much faster, and that's what we're going to be seeing here. see who wins this push. It's going to be another base race.
Well, they need to get Shrimp to that minion wave to apply the Rift Herald buff. There he goes, and that base race has begun for the Tier 2 turrets. 12 minutes in, TDK are significantly faster because they get there first. Bischu and Kez going to complete the recall. Wow, I was wrong. Apex.
Because Apex are hard shoving. Apex have the Rift Herald buff, they have a cannon minion in this, and they have multiple members who are not backing off of these turrets. This might be Inhibitor turret going down at 12 minutes for TDK.
Oh my gosh, it's already down to half health and continuing to take chunks, down to a quarter now, but finally Apex back off as the rest of TDK recall and defend.
Yeah, OQ, it's kind of a chore to clear this wave out as Kalista very early on. No Runan's Hurricane, no wave clear, but look at that. 45 CS up over Police. OQ was just CSing like a madman, but the thing is he's been given all of that CS. He was gifted that, and TDK had to seed topside objectives to give OQ this type of advantage.
And the trade-off is going to be Cris on the other side, getting a 20 CS lead for his own. So we'll see if he can continue to scale that up as Kez looks for yet another Scuttle Crab. That's his third mark this game.
Yep, that's actually kind of lucky. Kindred's in professional play.
That was 4 Scuttle Crabs in a row. 2 bottom, 1 top, and another bottom.
The thing is that look at the jungle. Look at Apex's jungle. There's nothing to get. I honestly think Shrimp might be hard countered by Kindred because he farms so hard. He clears his whole jungle, so where's this mark going to spawn? Well, it has to spawn on the Scuttle Crabs.
Yeah, the freshly spawned minion. So there's an interesting question. Does the mark spawn on the next minion available if there's nothing there for it?
I believe it would. If there's nothing there and the entire jungle is cleared out, then it will spawn on the thing.
So it's just inopportune timing for Shrimp.
Yeah, but it's super lucky because the Scuttle Crabs, very easy to take. The least risky mark
and
to
2
pick
Devourer
up.
stacks.
Exactly.
So that's 4 Scuttle Crabs in a row.
It's very good for him. And I want to touch on this bot lane advantage because this is what we thought was going to happen in the Challenger Finals last time. Because now OQ, off of CS alone, is 1,300 gold above Police. His cull already completed. It already went out. And there's still, 36 left for Police to pick up before his rolls over. And that's the advantage we're seeing here. TDK up 1,200 gold, but that's because of OQ.
OQ single-handedly representative of the gold lead that TDK have right now. Once again, Cris catches the big wave in top lane, and TDK get a little bit of damage on that mid-tier 1, the last one of the game. Now, they are invading the jungle and trying to deny Shrimp some of that CS and keep Kez a pace with him, and so far it's been going rather well. Ooh,
they saw that, though.
There goes the Fate's Call. Bischu takes a little bit of punishment on the far side. And yeah, there's another mark of the hunt for Kez. This time it's on Krugs. Unfortunately, not so lucky as to get it on the Wolf Camp that he's trying to steal away right there.
Yeah. Mark of the Kindred goes over to that bottom side. Was killed, and OQ locked up by Cris.
Yeah, taking some big damage. He's low mana. Cris hits the flash snare, but Exhaust denies the damage from Bischu. That's 3 summoners blown for 1.
And yeah, you can see how much damage this Ryze does and why it's first pick worthy for Cris. Ryze fell out of the meta, but still, he's still kicking. That extra 40 damage on his cube at max rank, which he has ended up maxing, I believe. Yeah, he maxed the cube first, the overload. So that 40 extra base damage and the farm that they've given him over giving it to Police seems to be working out here. And Ryze versus Kalista, well, she can't hop around when you're rooting her over and over again. So it's a very good counter. And I think that this is very smart by Apex to counter the CS going over to OQ by putting it onto Cris.
That's a good answer. Package now picked up by Alex. Dragon's up in 25 seconds, but that's Flarezs going for a recall. He does have teleport, but going for the Spirit Visage Rush first on Ekko. A little interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty much only for Cris. A lot of the times you'll see people go Spectre's Cowl in a matchup like this and then end up going for Bomby Cinder. I think he's going to go for Merc Treads as well, just for the root. But Shrimp and Cris are the only magic damage on this team. Keane and Police, the physical damage dealers. So it's split about 50-50, but there is a little bit more physical damage due to the nature of Elise in the jungle and her damage output. So, not surprised to see the Spirit Visage, but a little surprised to see no armor at all, not even cloth armor at this point for Flarezs. And the Dragon.
Yeah, there goes the package as Alex rushes over, and the Dragon will be secured by TDK. Apex, despite being in the area, decide not to contest it. Instead, they've got a fast track down mid lane. TDK, a little bit of miscommunication on which way to go around the wall, but no minions means Apex can't get up there in time, so that tier 1 is still safe, while Cris continues to catch that CS into his waiting and open arms. Now, the trade-off that Apex are doing to answer this is they've put Police and Xpecial in the mid lane, and Keane has been splitting off bottom.
So Keane on the bot side, he does have TP, but it's down, so he has to walk all the way up here. Rift Herald is what is in the sight of TDK and Apex both. Mainly because TDK is saying, okay, Rift Herald's up, we want these stacks, etc. Apex is like, well, Rift Herald's up, we can't give them this.
Yeah.
And you look at Kez, Kez is already at 21 stacks at 17 minutes and 45 seconds. So if he gets this Rift Herald, he's looking at about a 19-minute completed Sated Devourer.
Incredibly fast for Kez.
It's very fast. You usually see that when a Kindred is wrecking the entire game and got his Devourer off of First Blood, and then he was able to just snowball from there. That's the type of speed that you see it at, but that's if he gets this Rift Herald.
18 minutes and no kill mean that Kindred is just doing it off farm alone. There's the TP. Kez tumbles forward. Not able to find too much damage as Rift Herald resets. Xpecial is level 6, so he does have his Fisher. Once again, Herald resets, leashes back into the pit.
And Herald's angry. He just goes back and forth, back and forth. No, everybody wants him, but nobody wants to commit.
Blue buff picked up by Keane instead of handing it over to Cris.
And they go straight for the mid lane. Good play here.
Chronosphere is going to find a slow on the 2. Not enough minions to do significant damage to the turret, but the poke for TDK is slowly whittling Apex down as they just can't seem to find a way in.
Not really able to follow that up, and this is just going to be chip damage here. You have the Trinity Force on Alex, so it's a very good time to siege as Corki. And now members of Apex are backing, and I'm actually very surprised TDK are not trying to go back to the Rift Herald. They're going to try to hand the blue off for sieging potential for Alex, so that he might not have to back here if the siege was going to continue.
Playing it safe instead as OQ once again split pushing, now only 20 CS ahead of Elise, so bit of an opportunity to catch up, but that number has been fluctuating wildly over the course of this game. Keane dodges the stun at the last second, but as you mentioned, Alex sieging the turret, gets some good damage. The minions might finish it off. Oh, Sivir's there just in time.
Yeah, it's actually lucky for TDK that the minions didn't. You wouldn't have gotten the local gold. A little bit out of range there, so that's gold that goes to waste. You don't get the full 800 gold value of the outer turret.
There goes yet another Chronosphere. Flarezs for a way in. Xpecial jumps to the minion, but eats a slow.
Almost. Flarezs was very close to ending up stunning Xpecial there, just on the edge. And that's going to be Rift Herald going home. Oh, everybody wanted him, nobody committed, and he just left. It's like, if you don't want me, I'm leaving.
Sounds like a very sad romance novel.
It is.
And then he's replaced by his older brother.
Comes back angry.
Nah.
Oh, man, his hotter older brother.
But he takes significantly more to take down.
See, now everybody wants Baron.
Only a handful of people want Herald, though.
Pretty much one person, then the other one just fights over it and gets all their friends to help it. But Baron, everybody actually does want to take that objective.
Yeah, so Baron has spawned. We've hit the 20-minute mark. Still 0 kills on the board.
Yeah.
And the big story that you want to... Well, Alex finally going to knock down that turret as no one's there to defend it. But the big story that you wanted to talk about was whether or not Apex could keep OQ down, could keep Kez down over the course of this game. Well, so far, Kez has been building up those hunt stacks rather comfortably and getting closer and closer to an early sated.
Yeah, his 26 stacks, if he had been able to get at least one of those heralds in there, or that dragon that went over to Apex, then he would have been sated by now. But a little bit of a delay on that. Of course, he was very ahead of the curve. He's at 27 after this camp. And so right on the cusp, but his on-hit damage, we'll see what he ends up going with the rest of his build. I assume it's tanky with the Sterix. No solo Q, Ruinant's Hurricane right off the bat, or Blade of the Ruin King. I assume he's going for more of a tanky build, especially with the Strength of Ages that he had picked up.
Continuing to farm it up. Everyone's pretty even in CS. Still seeing a big difference for Police, but then that's answered by Cris on the far side. So the priorities are still playing out for the two. Ryze to lock down Kalista. Kalista to kill everyone else if she's not locked down. Kez finds some good damage onto Xpecial, and Shrimp is forced to kite it out. Now, Dragon's up in a minute, so this is vision control. Cris is already pushing up a wave on the bottom, and Keane is on the far side of the map with the teleport.
Alex gets the jump here.
Oh, Police has no turret, and here comes Flarezs from behind. He doesn't have to teleport as he finds an opening. Police gets out. There's teleport used and completed by Keane.
Oh,
Cris found Oki on the far side. Does he have enough damage to drop him down? Not quite, as Cris gets locked down and killed. First blood, Oki.
22 minutes in, first blood goes over to TDK in the first game of the elimination match here. And they want more, they're not done.
Yeah, they found Xpecial in the stun. He's dropped by Kez. Big damage coming out of that tank, Ekko and Kez. As all 5, they're able to take the first 2 kills of the game after securing that mid-tier 1. Now they're going to back away to safety.
Yeah, you gave this very agile, very slippery composition enough time to scale up, get to 2 items. I mean, Trinity Force, i.e. Power Spike for Corki, and then Police just gets crit. Police gets crit for about 550, I want to say 600 there, when Alex jumps over the wall. Right here, the collapse onto Cris, and then the final shot onto him. And OQ playing that correctly. OQ, he knows he's targeted. Bischu peels for him, the substitute coming in. And it works out perfectly as OQ then goes off to the right-hand side. And he's able to just dodge everything. Xpecial, oh, he's got the shield up, but it doesn't matter. Just so much damage from these double AD carries, but a dragon fight has already been started here. Rentstack's in it, but they're going to try to wear them off. They're going to try to make sure that it just resets.
Yeah, Dragon is resetting, still at about 5 health, but Flarezs with a huge flank. There's a package that splits Shrimp from everyone else as Bischu keeps the carries occupied. Flashes back in, and Shrimp goes down. Oh, Bischu is still alive in the Lamb's Respite, but here comes Flarezs over the far side. No, it goes down, and a huge collateral damage knocks down Bischu. First kill for Apex in the 1-for-1 trade. But Apex want more. Exactly,
1-for-1. They're going to go after this turret. They have a little bit of minion wave here, and they have enough damage to clear it. But Alex does have some wave clear. It's going to be a little risky tanking it.
Yeah, they brute force it down and get away in the end, but it's still net gold lead in favor of TDK. 1,500 gold after all of those kills were traded over. And with Apex recalling, this is going to be Dragon going over to TDK as well.
Yeah, it's a consolation prize for that turret, but TDK had already previously gotten that turret down in the mid lane. Starts off, zone them, make sure the spears wear off. Flarezs had TP'd in from the side. Doesn't get a stun on anybody. He gets locked up, and then he goes to the other side of Keane, but that splits them because Bischu's now in front. Alex is getting Shrimp off on the top side, and then Flarezs is now on the bottom side of the fight. He flashes out to get over the wall, and right as that Lamb's Respite goes down, Keane able to finish it off. Well timed there.
Yeah, that's a lot of AoE damage you can stack up. You know it's a very predictable ultimate, the Lamb's Respite. So
gotta know the timing though.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Nothing quite so painful as tossing out your Azir's Emperor's Divide just before it wears off, and you're like, oh no.
Well, they don't get the heal, so.
Oh yeah, well.
But yeah, it definitely is something that takes a little bit of practice to learn the timing on. It's not as easy as you would think because Kindred, especially being very slippery with the Q and able to just be very mobile, if you don't time it correctly, Kindred can a lot of the times just jump away at the last second, play you for a sucker. Throw your skill shot in thinking they'll stay there for the heal, but they jump out. Or you do it too early.
Apex getting a bit sneaky now on the top side of the river. They're trying to bait TDK towards the Baron area, but with complete control of that vision, TDK decide not to walk onto the dark side of the map and instead play it safe. Taking stock of the CS, Police is now only down about 20. He's finally gotten a chance to catch up, and Cris still rocking a pretty large gold lead, or CS lead, excuse me, over Flarezs after all of those fights and all of the consistent split pushing. So things are finally starting to balance out for Apex, and it seems like it's paying off. They're actually trying to sneak into the Baron area as 4. Just clearing out the vision for TDK.
Yep, Cris is going to split push on the bottom side. He has a massive CS lead over Flarezs at the moment, and you can see it's actually more of a CS lead than what we're seeing in the bot lane, which was a gigantic one previously. So OQ's given up a lot of that CS to his mid laner, and also Kez and Shrimp. I mean, I'm actually quite surprised that their CS numbers are very similar. Shrimp, it's just a testament to his playstyle again. Flarezs, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, he decides to drop the overload. Flarezs looking for some damage. If he's not going to kill you in lane. He's going to die trying, but instead just decides to burn his ultimate and get out to safety, zoning Cris away from pressuring that tier 2 further.
Yeah, a lot of what makes tank Ekko so good is the passive. The passive, 3-stack, get a gigantic burst of movement speed, which was buffed at pretty much all stages of the game, and it's a 3-second cooldown in between, with a 2-second and scales up over level 3-second duration. So if I get my passive off on you as Ekko, you are slowed for 3 seconds, I am sped up for 3 seconds, and it takes 3 seconds before I'm able to start reapplying it again. So I get optimal position on you, and then I just restack it. And then when I get you low enough, my W makes it so that I do percent missing HP when you're below 30%. So the Ekko overall as a tank is still just an incredible fighter, and the mobility and the chase down potential is what really makes him so threatening, because you're like, I'm slowly dying, sometimes very quickly dying, depending on the item.
But there's nothing you can do against
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. Even flashing a lot of the time.
Run away.
The phase dive is very low cooldown.
Hopes he doesn't catch up.
Yeah, well, you hope, but you know. It doesn't help.
Meanwhile, Staff of the Seraphim and a fully stacked Rod of Ages is finished for Cris. Teleport is used. He's charging it up along with Keane. It's a double teleport as Apex are looking to force a fight. Bischu, Alex 2 stacks of the bite. He actually is going to get a knock away. Alex is indeed flanking, doesn't have a package. There's a lot of AoE being tossed out. Cris looks for some more. Flarezs goes down before he can use his ultimate. It's still on cooldown. Kez drops the respite, tries to tumble out, but Apex chase him away as Shrimp at low health repels to safety. Keane single-handedly zoning forward. Keane finds Cris on the far side, gets snared. They trade 1-for-1. Police gets the kill, but Alex goes down on the far side. Now TDK and OQ are running for their lives from the 4 members of Apex, and now they're picking onto the Baron.
And Apex have been behind pretty much all game, just 1 step, but this was a very proactive play from them. The double TP coming out on top, and Alex bringing the exhaust has no answer for it in the mid lane, and that's going to be Baron here going over to Apex after that fight, which was very clean from them. Good chase down.
29 minutes and a very clean execution. Secure Baron for Apex. Great vision control, and they're able to pull it together.
Yeah, the double TP, they have to answer the TP on the top side, and now Alex is split, and yeah, Bischu jumped in, but he got pulled out at pretty much the same time. So no headbutt pulverize combination, and Flarezs dies right before the ultimate from Kez comes out. But even then, there was so much HP left on the members of Apex that I don't know how effective it really would have been. Keane jumps forward as everybody focuses down, and Alex got greedy. Alex walked forward. Xpecial puts up the shield and says, nope, you're not getting Shrimp or Police. Alex was trying to go for those lucky crits, try to end both their lives. But, I mean, he could have probably turned on Cris, helped them kill Cris faster, and been a part of the peel. I don't think he was in an immense amount of danger just yet, but turning backwards, he went for the risk, he went for the gamble, and it didn't pay out.
Fortunately not able to secure that kill, but so far it's 4-4 in kills after the trade, 3-for-1 in favor of Apex. But with that Baron buff and Dragon spawning in 20 seconds, they now look to siege the mid lane and take control. Now the package is available for Alex. If he's feeling a fight, he could do damage. He eats a quick cocoon, but is still at relatively high health. The siege now begins for Apex as they look to try to whittle down this mid-tier 2 turret. The minion wave crashes. TDK just can't clear it out in time. It's taking some big chip damage. Cris finds some good damage. On the Hunt is in fact used, but again, they're just trying to zone TDK away.
Yep, and here comes the Ricochet. The Ricochets just go down every member, just tiny, tiny chip damage to TDK and the tower both. And Apex with this Baron buff, they haven't been able to get anything at this point, but this tower is slowly but surely going down here. If Keane can get in range to actually get these close range shots with his shotgun, or they just have Elise off on the side, runs forward.
Yeah, they finally knock down the mid-tier 2 turret. They have to wait for a few minion waves to do it.
Yeah, but this bottom turret has multiple minion waves built up here. I'd be surprised. I think there might be 2 cannon minions in this wave. I'll have to see in a second. Just 1 for now. As they go and siege this turret, it's a gigantic wave, and they have another cannon minion wave on the way.
Bischu gets chunked down to half, trying to defend it. There goes the Fate's Call. Oq's flanking, but gets chunked out. Glacial Fissure is going to split it up. Cris gets destroyed and Shrimp knocked away. That's just the carries for Apex grouped up. There goes the Chrono Shift. Alex Keane! Keane is doing so much damage, but he's still alive. Kez cannot manage to kill him as Xpecial is kiting it out with Keane and Police. They just do so much damage and Apex can't answer.
And Keane with the Warlord's Bloodlust alongside the lifeline from his maw. You can't take him down. He's deceptively tanky on Graves with all that extra armor and MR from his True Grit. Able to stay alive. And he just soaked a whole bunch from TDK there. And now they're going to stop TDK from getting the 4th Dragon, even though that looked like it was a great fight at the start with Cris going down so early on. We'll watch it here again. Cris walks a little far forward. Back and forth. Bischu looks like he's getting chunked out. And then the opportunity presents itself. Throws him at 2. He gets Police, but Xpecial actually got the knockup, so the follow-up damage, they may have not been able to get to Police fast enough. And then they continue. Flarezs jumps in. Flarezs, he doesn't really have an off button. Xpecial doesn't go down, just barely. Alex gets taken out by Shrimp, and then look at this. Keane, the damage he's taking, throws an ultimate across 3 people, and the Death's Dance is going to give him so much life back from that. Oh, man. Apex, they were opened up on. Cris goes down, and the fact that Xpecial had thrown his Braum ultimate across multiple members as the Kalista ultimate was being used, that is really what saved Police there and allowed him to continue dishing out damage. Otherwise, they would have been able to just focus Police, kill him. Xpecial most likely would have died from the follow-up, and then because there wouldn't have been enough damage on Flarezs, and then they would have been able to clean up from there. So Xpecial really kind of saving that fight.
Clean denial for Apex. Looks like they will not be playing nice today. Shut down TDK in any and all fashion. So far, that's 2 Dragons, and they have knocked down all of the Tier 2 turrets, and they're pretty comfortably controlling the game now. Only a mild CS lead for Cris as Flarezs is catching up, but Police, he's now ahead in CS of OQ, so that early advantage has been almost completely nullified by TDK.
And this is what happened as well, as Police was able to just get to a point where he can play back. Police played Sivir, I believe, every chance he could back when he played TDK, and OQ didn't play a hard counter. He didn't play something like Vayne. The Kalista is pretty far up there in terms of Sivir counters, but right now, Kalista's nerfed state, it's not as potent as it was before. And I believe he just played Lucian pretty much every game. So once again, Police able to play Sivir, able to just sit back and farm, and that's the strength of Sivir, is it enables a lot of AD carries who may not be star players, playmakers, to enable their team with their ultimate, and to have a lot of range. It's deceptive because normally she just has 500, but the Ricochet bounces infinitely.
Shrimp, a little overextended there, taking a lot of damage and gets destroyed by TDK as he's picked off. Xpecial tries to drop the shield, is forced to flash away, but as mentioned, Flarezs provides chase. A stun will lock him down for a short while. There goes the flash bait's call. They've caught Police. Bischu is taking some big punishment instead, and it's 2 for 1 or 2 for none in favor. Alex, can't get the rocket, but he does get the flash auto attack. 3 kills for TDK.
Alex running around. He ends up critting him multiple times. He's got 70% crit chance, but Keane has been pushing this top lane, and he's only going to get the turret. And it's not going to be a continued push here from the rest of the team. They're going to try to get Kez up there very quickly. TP comes in. Didn't prep it. Okay.
Yeah, no parallel convergence, and that's going to be teleport used by Keane. He takes the top inhib turret and gets out alive. Now, Baron's up in 40 seconds, but that means Keane has no teleport. And here's that again. Shrimp, just too deep.
Yeah, they had spotted him on the pink ward, or sorry, they had spotted him in the bush. The pink ward was Shrimp, so he thought he was safe. And then parallel convergence comes out, the stun. Keane is on the top side and Flarezs is on the right side, and they aren't able to collapse. They both have TP, but it was already pretty much done as soon as Shrimp got picked off. Flarezs continues to chase, and the fact that his phase dive had actually followed Xpecial through his stand behind me.
Alex
was
was
what allowed him to get pulled across.
Alex completely desperate for that kill.
Oh yeah.
Was able to find it though.
Used everything for that. Flash and exhaust. But he gets so many crits. He's been critting a lot this game. He's near that 100% of course. But definitely online. And you can see more reminder here for Keane. So when we see those lifesteal items and the maws actually turn on, Keane will be reducing a little bit of the effectiveness of the heals. And I'm not 100% sure, but Lamb's Respite, I believe, is self-heal for each person. Don't quote me on that, but it'll at least make Kindred not heal as much, which is really big.
Oh, well, if you apply the Grievous Wounds, Keane can just auto-attack once or twice, and he'll apply it onto everyone below 40%.
Yeah.
The synergy's starting to stack up more and more. Meanwhile, everyone's grouped up in the mid lane. Apex are collapsed on from behind. There's a teleport coming in from Cris as he tries to group up with his team. He gets caught out and split. He's knocked up and locked down. Are they able to kill him in time? They kill Flarezs, but they traded a top laner on their own. It's 4v4 right now. Apex,
Baron's
a little bit
alive.
caught unaware. Yeah, Baron is alive. Dragon's up in a minute. Cocoon finds Bischu. He's still got the Unbreakable Will. Gets destroyed by Keane. I was wrong. And so too was Bischu. It's 4v3 and Apex rush down mid lane.
Oh, so is Kez. Kez has Lamb's Respite this entire time, and he hasn't thrown it down. That was just so much burst. They were not expecting that close range crit, and Keane ends up decimating him.
They shove in a minion wave. They've got a group of 4 and a cannon. Can they break down this inhibitor turret? OQ is clearing the wave so quickly. 4v3. They don't get the turret, but they're going to back away. Dragon's up in 20 seconds. It's a good consolation prize.
Yeah, 20 seconds here. It would be the 4th one for TDK, but Apex, I think they'll hang around it. I don't think they'll back off completely. Yeah, they have good numbers here. Xpecial half HP. It's the support.
Trades on the other side.
It's going to go Baron. They're going to go Baron on the side of TDK.
Teleport even being used by Flarezs. Apex are rushing over there. They're trying to get there in time.
They smell this.
TDK know that it's happening.
But there's no wards there as well. So police actually walked up first. If they had been in that bush, they may have been able to actually take them off guard. It's really risky there from Apex. But Keane, he's going to go solo the Dragon, and that's going to be TDK getting almost nothing off of that.
Yeah, Bischu and Cris have respawned and joined up with their respective teams. Keane, oh no! Oh, he gets it. There goes the chrono shift. Flarezs pops right back to safety. That's Dragon 3 for Apex. And large minion waves in both the top and bottom lane mean that this mid lane fight has to be ceded over to Apex.
And you just look at these score lines, right? Kez 1-0 and 7. Kez is sitting at 5 stacks on his passive.
Baron being started now by Apex. They're shredding through it so quickly. Flarezs is nowhere to be found as he used to teleport preemptively. Bischu caught in the stun. Unbreakable Will just a bit too early. There goes Fate's call. Flarezs finally catches up. He still doesn't have the chrono shift, so he's going to have to go in with only 1 life plus the assistance of Kez.
Oh, but that top lane, there's no TP for Flarezs, and that top lane is getting shoved in. Look at that inhibitor. It might go down just from that. Oh.
There goes the McHales, and even the power overwhelming used by Cris.
Yeah, QSS used there very quickly from Alex to just get away. Look at that. Yeah, he's going to have to clear it. Flarezs doesn't have anything, so it's a 4v5 with Baron, and Kez goes in. They've
caught Kez. He's on top of the Lamb's Respite, takes some big damage. There goes the Grievous Wound, so he doesn't heal too much, but he gets out with his life. But Apex just turned right back onto the Baron. They're taking a lot of damage from it. Police is down to a quarter of his health. He's actually tanking it right now with Keane.
Oh,
he almost dies. The missile from Alex barely misses.
Oh, that top inhib, though.
Oh, the top inhib. The minions weren't fully cleared by Flarezs. And it's about to go down. The minions are there in time for TDK. It's alive with barely a breath of life, 300 HP. And it's still alive. Apex not able to capitalize.
Oh man, police tanking that. They had to use the heal as well because Alex almost finished that kill off. I'm actually surprised that TDK didn't try to engage them on the way out. But they didn't want to have that 4v5 for real. They just wanted to stop the Baron, and they decided not to get greedy.
Nobody wants to take any chances in game number 1. Once again, though, Apex, I was wrong. They're taking a chance. They're back on the Baron pit. I've been wrong so many times. Flarezs still no teleport. Alex even on the wrong side of the map. They've got Baron down to half, but they cannot commit. Police is kiting around as best he can on top of the Scuttle Crab speed try. There's a huge knockup from Bischu. He's able to stock it up with a Fate's Call on top of it. Xpecial finds an answer. Cris and Police are in the back, but they don't have enough. Bischu is stunned out, doesn't have the Unbreakable Will to keep him alive. Flarezs goes back in as Bischu goes down. A double kill for Police as he's getting so much damage. and that's Kaz and Bischu gone.
Oh, the crits! The crits! Oh, Alex, everybody is so low on Apex's side. Keane, he's going to heal up so quickly, though, with the lifesteal items he has. Same with Police. So the AD carries are once again healthy. So is OQ. OQ almost got completely decimated in that fight, and he was able to get out with his life. But still, numbers advantage for Apex. They don't have Shrimp here just yet. Xpecial is still low. These two AD carries here, they're very squishy. But, I mean, it's Graves, right? Graves, lots of resists, and he does have that tank build. Alex? Oh, Keane
goes over the wall looking for Alex. He does have the collateral damage. Flashes into melee range. Exhaust is not enough. Alex gets out alive. OQ finds it, but Keane kills him on his own while Baron is secured by Apex.
And this is exactly why Keane loves this mid lane Graves. The amount of lifesteal he gets with the Death's Dance and the Warlord's Bloodlust is insane.
Keane all over the place with this burst damage. Baron picked up. They're going to finish what they started in the mid lane as Apex group as 4 and destroy the mid inhib. There's a recall from Keane, and he's got a teleport on top of it. So mid inhib goes down. Xpecial's down to a below half health. So they're just going to look for the open inhib and then get out.
And now we have an 8,000 gold lead here for Apex. They were behind in the early game. TDK were one step ahead, but then Apex dance around the Baron. They get some kills, and then they end up just jumping ahead in this game off of just really slick plays there. And Keane has been a man this entire game. Police has been playing it safe. Police has been playing it correctly, and Keane has been playing it risky when he needs to, and Alex is too risky.
Takes the package to go in, but gets snared up by Cris, so Mikhail's barely keeps him alive. Wow, that was a little overzealous.
Well, he had the package. He had a package for him. Had to deliver it first day.
Yeah.
Same day delivery.
More like same second delivery. You click something and then a giant rocket flies through your window.
Oh, man. Well, that's the future. That is the future.
We can get rocket-powered drones. We'll get that today. Meanwhile, Apex in the lead in this game. After a pretty shaky early game, they finally found their groove, able to secure Baron twice this game, and catch up in Dragons, close up all of those CS and gold differentials everywhere across the map. Now that they're late game, this team is huge.
Yeah, I don't know what can stop these guys right now. Apex, they just have so much damage on this Sivir with the QSS and lifesteal items, as well as just Keane full build already. And he went for having the Ninja Tabi, so OQ doesn't even do too much to him. And we'll see with this final fight.
Bischu finds another great knock-up. Meanwhile, Shrimp and Cris are able to solo out Kez on the far side of the fight. He drops the respite early, gets healed, but again, the Grievous wound works out so well. No Fate's call to save Bischu. He doesn't even have Flash. He drops in the midst of Apex's chaos. 3 inhibitors down, double super minions going to start flooding in. They're not even waiting for the minion wave as they look for the Nexus turret. 5v4, but without a tank. There's nothing TDK can do to stop Apex from creeping forward. Flarezs gets caught in the snare. He chrono shifts back to safety. But there's just so much damage. Kez gets locked down. Alex gets knocked up. Flarezs tries to buy some time, but the turrets are going down. His teammates are in the fountain. Flarezs pops the Guardian Angel, but gets annihilated by Apex. And they're on the Nexus. Apex have done it. They're taking game number 1 over Team Dragon Knights.
Apex behind in the early game. They end up getting a lead, and that was off of that play where Alex tried to flank. It did not work out, and then they took a large advantage off of that, getting multiple members and Baron, and then they just kept baiting it back and forth, thinking that they had superior team fight. And with Keane and Police playing the way they did, yeah, they did. They had superior team fighting.
And one of the big questions we had coming into this was Apex looked shaky yesterday because of their drafts. Well, this game, you put them on comfort champions, put Keane back on that Graves, put Police back on that Sivir, and they had huge performances. 4-0-9 on Graves, 6-1-5 on Sivir.
Yeah, and he did the most damage in the game on Sivir. Police by a long shot. Both AD carries for Apex coming up huge. And then you look over at the other side, and OQ was almost half the damage on Kalista compared to the Sivir. Of course, that is the nature of those champions, but the Kalista was not allowed to operate at all. The Ryze first pick was able to shut it out. They were able to focus him down, and Apex are saying, well, we know that OQ is your star carry. He's on Kalista, not exactly a hyper carry or something he can go absolutely insane on, and it was definitely something that they exploited. Apex, they didn't really care too much that Police was behind early game. They were able to give him some CS later, and they won the team fights with focusing OQ and trying to push him out.
Yeah, and it really created an interesting situation. Just to go through those scores a little more, OQ was 2-1-6. He died once in that 24-kill game, and Kez in the jungle on Kindred was 1-1-7. Not, I think it was 8 out of 9 in his kill participation. So they played around their composition correctly. They played how we expected them to. Get Kez ahead, get OQ ahead, let them try to do what they can, but just couldn't quite close it out.
Yeah, it was that double TP play that ended up getting Apex back into the game way ahead, and then they were able to get the Baron. So the one afterwards as well with the Baron, just honestly, Apex, they have like score lines like 1-4-6 for Cris, right? But everybody else is doing fantastic on that team, and I do think that OQ, 2-1-6, but Bischu 1-6-8. Bischu's trying to start these fights off, trying to push an advantage, and it's not working because what's happening is he's jumping in, he's getting pulled out a lot of the time during his ultimate, and then thrown back in.
Yeah.
And he waits on it a little bit, so the ultimate's timing out while he's in Fate's Call.
And the fact that these guys were skirmishing so often around the mid lane, around that Baron. We've actually got a replay of that last Baron fight that ended up succeeding in the win for Apex, but that they were skirmishing so much.
Yeah, they chunk out OQ in this fight, and he becomes practically useless. Bischu gets a great headbutt pulverize, pulled back in to get thrown in again, uses the ultimate, but OQ had walked forward, and OQ has to run away. He has to head for the hills at this point, and now Bischu's left there. The ricochet just continues to bounce off the members, and it made like a perfect chain. And Kez ends up dying. That's his only death of the entire game right there. And it's only 2 kills, but it's what ended up resulting in the Baron for Apex. The chunk out on OQ, and you saw how low everybody was after that. And you give those AD carries, both the Sivir and the Graves, any wiggle room, you get them near any minions, they're full HP again.
Yeah, and because they had so much damage, Apex that is, because they had so much damage, it really was a knife's edge game for TDK. They had to heal up. They had to dodge the CC. If they could survive the initial burst, it looked like they could win the fight, but time and time again, Apex found the vulnerable targets in TDK's team fight.
Yeah, they were able to just run by everybody and pretty much go after OQ. And then that fight in particular, that was OQ being too far forward. He was trying to at least throw spears in, and he doesn't really have a front line. It's the Ekko, then it's triple AD carry for this team, and then they have Alistar. And Alistar, he was being thrown in multiple times, and well, he's your only front line, and he'd already used his CC, so everybody just gets to walk past and go after OQ as the parallel convergence is still in transit. Like, he didn't really have a front line to operate, and as I was talking about at the start of the day, is OQ is a star. He can mechanically outplay people. He can one-on-one people, apparently not Graves, though. Yeah. Apparently not Graves. And especially as Kalista, because you really need your soulbound
So
burst.
that wasn't even a one-on-one. That was a 1v3 as
Yeah.
two other people collapsed on him after he jumped over to look for that kill onto Alex.
Yeah, and that just shows why this Graves was so important for Keane. It's something that he pulled out in the semifinals, I believe, of the Challenger Series and went insane on. He was able to just mop the floor with, I believe, TLA at the time, and it was something that was to be feared, and I believe it was banned out constantly from that point onward. But whenever he gets his hands on it, it's a decimating champion in the mid lane.
Yeah, such a terror for him to deal with. Now, we've got to start to wonder, how are TDK going to bounce back from this? After yesterday, they suffered 3 pretty demoralizing losses in a row, and now after this, they had an early advantage, but they couldn't close it out. Did they swap back to Trance? Did they try to bring in the new top laner?
Well, Bischu, based on that performance, 1-6-8, and also alongside OQ, it really is a game where you say, well, Trance plays the defensive Janna style. He plays the style where you're just peeling for OQ. I think maybe we see Trance come out in this series. I think you might see him get subbed in to just try and unlock him once again. He was brought on the roster for that reason, and I was actually shocked when they pulled out Bischu for the starter, but also yesterday when we hadn't seen him in 9 games, ever since they had gotten the other support, Trance.
Yeah.
So that screamed desperation to me. That screamed, we have to do something different, and this is really what we have that's different at all. And they tried to throw a wrench in the plan. Wasn't what worked yesterday, and today we're seeing pretty much the same result from that.
Well, with a playoff spot on the line, it's kind of an important time to find that synergy and come together. So with their lives on the line, we'll see if they can pull it back. Apex have taken first blood. We'll see if TDK can even it right back in game number 2. We'll be right back.
slowly breathe in for 5 seconds, and then you hold it for 7 seconds, and then you breathe out for 8 seconds. Get it?
Like, that's too much math for me.
Cris found OQ on the far side. Does he have enough damage to drop him down? Not quite, as Cris gets locked down and killed.
Corki behind. Kindred.
Okay, Ekko.
Corki flash, Corki no flash.
Kindred.
Watch Kalista.
Kindred no flash.
Yeah.
Hey, slowly.
Hype back.
공 있어, 이제 있어.
You can fight.
Ekko.
Corki.
Ekko. Ekko's ult.
Nice.
Drops the respite early. Gets healed, but again, the Grievous wound works out so well. No fate's call to save Bischu. He doesn't even have flash. He dropped